So, if there are any prospective lawyers here, we don't want to paint a completely gloomy picture. So we'll move on to reforms now. There's hope. So let's start with Mariam. Mariam, who do you think can be held responsible for contributing towards gender neutrality or gender friendliness in the legal profession? Is it the bar councils, the law firms, schools? Who do you think?
I think I'm actually going to borrow from one of the points that Zainab made, which is that I think that needs to start at the level of legal education, because since we can't divorce the issues that we face in any profession from the societal issues and the social conditioning that men and women both undergo, and leads to the discrimination within the professional field. So I think that at the time of legal profession education, we should start with introducing women to litigation, for instance, or teaching them those techniques, or ensuring that you have a more gender balanced approach as a professor in a particular, so there would be training for professors as well in order to be able to pass that on to their students. The same thing goes for on the practicing and judicial side as well. I'm very for introducing quotas and introducing balance through the law within that, because when you enforce that is when you're going to start giving those equal opportunities to women, because if there's 100 seats and 50 have to be filled by women, the system in itself will start fixing itself, in the sense that nobody is going to want 50 inadequate judges or 50 inadequate AAGs. And that system is going to then force itself to fix itself in that way. So that push has to come. It has to be the top-down and the bottom-up approach, as far as I see.
In terms of reform, I'd essentially say chamber structure. Highlight here. There needs to be a structure in which you are there to receive students that are coming in. ठीक है, आप start पे students को introduce करते हो to litigation, but all right, for instance, I studied for the bar, and part of what I studied was civil litigation and criminal litigation, arguing in court and all of this. मगर उसके बाद जब ये सारा कुछ पढ़ लिख के आप वापस आ जाते हो, यहाँ पे आपकी स्किल सेट की कोई डिमांड नहीं है, ठीक है. दे डोंट वांट यू टू बी लिटिगेटर्स टू बिगिन विद. अच्छा ठीक है, वो लिटिगेशन के लिए हम उनको भेज देंगे, आप बैठ के ना ये ज़रा ड्राफ्ट करके हमें दे दें, ठीक है. सो आई थिंक कि हर तरफ से हर एरिया में आपने इंटरवेंशन करनी होगी. एजुकेशन वाले एरिया में इंटरवेंशन करने के साथ में फर्म्स के स्ट्रक्चर को रेगुलेट करना होगा. वन गुड थिंग अबाउट कॉर्पोरेट्स इज दैट बिकॉज यू आर गवर्नड, मतलब अगर आप एक FMCG हो, यू आर गवर्नड बाय व्हाट इज हैपनिंग ग्लोबली. So if the global discussion is about increasing women in the workforce, then you will follow those and you will end up doing it. ठीक है, corporate governance उस तरह थोड़ी सी फर्क होती है. तो आपको chamber governance system थोड़ा सा लेके आना होगा. A. B, in terms of reform, I'd say essentially just having a mentor-mentee situation where, as women who are senior on in the profession or women who have learned so much at a certain stage, are able to, in a constructive way, teach what they have learned to other people, not just through one-off discussions and forums, but थोड़ी आप workshops कराएं, gender के ऊपर, sensitivity के ऊपर. Getting a discussion going is part one. I remember when I was in law school, I was primarily taught by male professors, and there was this one female professor that we had for jurisprudence, जो third year में आपको जो है ना एक female professor पढ़ाया करते थे. So the fact that there aren't that many women joining law in every space needs to be fixed. And then just for litigation, workshops, support groups, Lahore High Court Bar Association का अगर आप network ले लें, वहाँ पे आप छोटे छोटे workshops कराएं. Reform will only come when you ask for it or when you make it happen yourself. Reform's not going to happen overnight. So just the fact that there are so many women who are joining the profession, that's something that's laudable. Beyond that, the fact that there are so many women who are entering litigation, that again is laudable. But once they come into litigation, having those support networks and having the systems in place where they can achieve all that they are meant to achieve, I think that's necessary, and that's one of the precursors to any sort of reform that is required.
Right. Sharaf's line of reasoning as far as reform goes, and then we'll ask Ms. Rabia to conclude her arguments on reform.
I mean, I'm just going to agree with Zoe and Mariam what they said about, I think reform in the legal education system is quite essential, and I think how all of us feel that shift once we enter the legal profession. Firstly, it's important to have clinics at the level of the law school just to give you that exposure into what legal practice will be like. And why I say that is one of the biggest hurdles that we face, because our legal education system is in English, and all of us know that. The second you enter into courts, everything is in Urdu, or most of it is in Urdu. So I think what law schools need to focus on, at least maybe in the last year, is to inculcate those language skills into the students. And that makes a huge difference, especially if you're litigating, because if you can't understand what you're reading, there's not much that you'll be. And obviously, to be fluent in court is also one of the prerequisites of getting that kind of respect from the judges and other litigants. So I think there needs to be a focus on language, and what language is the language of litigation. Also, I think female litigators should come and teach more. I know they're already so busy, and it is a huge commitment to give being a female litigator. But what that does is, wo jo ek baat nahi hoti role models wali. It's so important for all of us to grow up with female role models. I mean, I only entered the profession because I saw female role models, and that's why I said, oh, I can also be a lawyer. But I think we need, and that generation, I think there's a problem that generation is dying out, and we need new role models to come in who women can look up to and be like, well, if this person is doing it, I'm not that much different. I can do it as well. And that's really important, because men are surrounded by role models everywhere they go. They can see themselves in every single, they can say, I will be the next Chief Justice, I will be this. I remember one of the things, like when I would be working late and people would just jokingly say, कि तुम क्यों काम करो, तुमने Chief Justice बन जाना है. And it's something that we hear a lot, like तुमने क्या अपनी law firm खोल लेनी है. But that's the problem. People don't see women being the Chief Justices. That's why they cannot, and society can't think of you as the next Chief Justice of Pakistan. So, that's it really. And I think in terms of bar, quotas are so important. We need women, especially given that it's an elected, all of the positions elected. In order for women to get elected on those seats, we need the quotas, at least temporarily. And there might be some quotas at the level of the lower judiciary. There needs to be quotas at the level of the High Court and the Supreme Court, because these are political appointments, and given the current social and professional scenario, I don't see women getting politically appointed, at least not to the Supreme Court.
Ms. Rabia, we would like to hear your views on reform as well.
Obviously, you cannot push any male lawyer or any senior lawyer to induct any female to his chamber or his firm. तो उसके लिए मेरा ख्याल है कि आप एक ऐसा लेजिस्लेशन के अंदर अमेंडमेंट करके, लीगल प्रैक्टिशनर एंड बार काउंसिल एक्ट्स हैं हमारे बने हुए, उनके अंदर हमें उनको स्टडी करके उनमें प्रपोज करना चाहिए ऐसी अमेंडमेंट्स कि जहाँ पर जब फीमेल लॉयर लाइसेंस लेती है या जब वो ट्रेनिंग के प्रोसेस में होती है तो उसके एक तो स्टाइपेंड का बंदोबस्त किया जाए, और दूसरी बात एटलीस्ट 10 दिन के या 15 दिन की एक ट्रेनिंग हो. जैसे हम आज एक सेशन कर रहे हैं, बात कर रहे हैं, तो उनको ये बताया जाए कि उन्होंने पहले दिन कोर्ट में किस तरह जाना है, किधर खड़े होना है, क्लैरिकल स्टाफ से कैसे बात करनी है आपकी, और जो कंसिस्टेंसी क्या है, आपकी स्ट्रेंथ क्या है. मेरा ख्याल है अगर ये ट्रेनिंग होगी तो ये बहुत ज़्यादा कंट्रीब्यूट करेगी एक प्रैक्टिसिंग लॉयर्स के लिए, उनको इनकरेज करने के लिए बहुत ज़रूरी है. लेकिन इसके ऊपर कभी किसी ने ध्यान नहीं दिया. तो लेजिस्लेटिव अमेंडमेंट्स जो हैं उनके ऊपर होनी चाहिए बात.
So I would like to actually just add my final thoughts, and then we'll sum up with a round of thanks for everybody. On the UN Gender Inequality Index, which was released on 25th January 2016, Pakistan was ranked 121st out of 155 countries. And that is a huge gender inequality index for a developing nation like ours, which needs all its human resource, the best people out there to be integrated into whatever professions there are, be it law or be it any other profession. We really need to fill in this gender inequality that exists, because it is not just a rights issue, it is an economic issue. And in order to find our way back or to find a way back to the system, it's important to initiate certain reforms, which is के ऊपर obviously बात हुई भी है. But specifically, I'd like to highlight the example of what Australia is doing in this regard. They facilitate their women. They don't see them as a threat. Their bar councils are on it, and of course, I'm sure other developed nations as well are, taking an inclusive approach to women as far as facilitating them in the profession is concerned. So, what they offer women are flexible work arrangements, which are distinguished from part-time job commitments. Flexible work is not the same thing as part-time work. Part-time work denotes a lesser form of commitment, but flexible work arrangements do not. So you're basically, it's more about outcomes rather than the number of hours you're putting in, because there is a reality that women have other responsibilities as well, and especially in our society, they are expected to take care of certain commitments back at home. Like I'll tell you, I'll actually quote this statement or observation rather from Lady Justice Halle in UK. She believes that women are deterred because of caring commitments at home, and that law firms recruit people in their own image. So that again is a multi-dimensional problem for women, which really shouldn't technically be a problem. It should never be a choice. So I think that I believe that a paradigm shift is necessary, and support has to come from all aspects of the society, because we need to integrate this pool of talent in the labor force that we have out there. So वो कोई भी profession हो, but litigation in particular, because even our families have those biases, like वो भी आपको घर से ही discouragement शुरू हो जाती है. Like the moment you decide to do law, that itself is such a big thing for the family that, oh really, like are you sure, is this the profession that you want to be in? So the doubt is put into your heads from, like socially, it is you've made to internalize, और ये चीज आपने और तरह से discuss भी की है, but the thing is that, so from families, your parents, obviously there are those privileged family backgrounds that women are coming from, joining the corporate sectors and relatively finding their way into the profession more easily than those जो आपके masses में they're only reduced to writing down the evidence for the judges and being appointed as local commissions. That is something, they are the ones who truly need the support from the society at large, as well as at homes and from their bosses. So some sort of a mentorship program should legally be put in place. Agar reforms ki legally baat kare, khali quotas are not enough. I believe that a lot more work can be done. And we have a lot to learn from these international developed models that we have in front of us. So mentorship programs are one, of course, in which you basically make the senior responsible for the progress of the younger junior associates, male or female. The senior person is actually responsible and even shares workload and covers up for certain times that the junior might not be available. So creating, army mein hota hai, they put two people together and they make those batches. I believe that sort of a model can be replicated where senior and junior work alongside each other as a team. And that is perhaps very important, as well as I think the right kind of tone needs to be set by the employers as well to the clients, because they can really ensure that their female lawyers are as respected by the clients and the junior staff and the munshis and everybody. Because if they set that tone, and if they realize their responsibility towards this profession as a whole, not just towards the female, then I believe that a better pool of resources can be well integrated into the profession. We should not dispel women just because they're women, or at the interview stage be worried about when they plan to get married and whether they're planning to have any children after that or not, because that's, I think, the most standard question that women are asked in their interviews when they apply for jobs. So mentorship programs, flexible work arrangements, and use of technology. For God's sakes, it's 21st century. We can come up with more creative, and thank God for quoting the law for that matter, because that really is empowering a lot of women through the use of technology. But we'll talk about more of that in our third session. Capacity building sessions organized by Bar Council for women to train them substantively as well as procedurally and otherwise how to conduct themselves. And capacity building and awareness sessions for men as well, to acclimatize and neutralize them as regards working with women is concerned, because हमारी society में ये चीज़ नहीं है, but profession में होनी चाहिए. ये चीज़ मर्दों को भी उतनी ही सिखाने की ज़रूरत है जितनी औरतों को ये चीज़ सिखाने की ज़रूरत है, ताकि वो comfort zone जो आप कहते हैं डॉक्टर्स के बीच में है वो develop हो. So working towards elimination of bias, harassment, and that whole aura of working with females, या ओ ये औरत है या हम, that gap has to be met, and for that networking and awareness sessions and such acclimatize an acclimatizing environment has to be put in place. वो responsibility किस पे डालेंगे? वो सिर्फ हम लड़कियां तो नहीं initiate कर सकती. That has to come from the top. That has to be initiated by the Bar Council, who is overall responsible for this profession. Social mobilization and developing awareness at family level, and that they should support their female, siblings or daughters or sisters and wives, whoever. Anyway, so the idea is that employers and law firms as well as bar councils have a very important role to play, and they should realize their responsibility towards the profession. Whether that is done through law by making legislative changes or amendments, or whether that is done through the chamber governance rules or systems that Ms. Zui came up with, I think that is a fantastic suggestion. More work can be done as far as that is concerned. I believe that all of these points need to be taken up by the profession as a whole. And on that account, I'd like to thank everybody who's been involved with this session, the audience, the administration at LUMS, our co-sponsors, Quoting the Law team, our esteemed participants and panelists, and every member who's basically been with me on this since December 2015. Thank you so much for coming and for taking the time out. Hopefully, I will see you on the third session now where we discuss the non-traditional career flow. Thank you so much. Thank you.